Hello, in this video I'm going to go over some tips. So these other pieces of the table should be very similar to what we did up here. This is starting with a cube, shaping it, then using a bevel, and then adding those edge loops so that you can support the supporting edges and break it up a bit, so it's not such big pieces of faces next to smaller faces. So you're trying to even it out a bit. Okay, so the tip I wanted to show you is, and I showed this in a previous video, is using snapping. So there's a really thin piece of geometry on the back of this. It's kind of like a plywood. So I'm gonna use snapping for this. So I need to put my pivot point right here. So if I were to snap this by hitting V and middle mouse, it will snap to where my pivot point is, or where my move tool is, which I don't want that. I want to move this, I want it to snap right in that corner. So I'm gonna hit D, and then D for dog, and V for Victor, and middle mouse, and hold it down, and you should be able to snap to any vertex. And now I'm gonna just go to that corner vertex where I want it to be, probably right there, and hit V. So that I'm not going to be moving the pivot point. I only move the pivot point with D, or I use D to move the pivot point. So now I'm just going to move this whole object using snapping by holding down V and middle mouse and snapping it right. That's not exactly, I want to be right there. And that way you can be really precise with your pieces. And now I'm going to just scale down this, scale down, and then I'm going to look at it from the side and see if I can even see that. I'm not sure if I can see that in the, it's very, very, very thin, so I'm going to make it really thin like that. You can hardly see it. So just make it fairly thin, and then you can even do this on portions. So I want this to match on the bottom of this piece. So I'm going to grab all the vertexes on the bottom, and then I want to just move this right on that vertex right there. The problem is if I do that, if I do hold down V and middle mouse, it will move like that. You can constrain movements by direction, so I want it to move up but not in Z or X. So I want to only move, so you can select it. You see how it turned yellow? So now I need to just hit V and middle mouse and it'll snap. And see how it like just popped up and it matches perfectly to that vertex. So now I just need to grab this side and do that same thing. I want this to match on this side. So I only want in that direction. So I'm gonna go over here, find a vertex of where I want it to go to, hit V and middle mouse, and see how that snapped. Now I might scale it just a bit more. So, okay, so something like that. And then I'm going to do that same thing where I am going to bevel it. Oh, I need to go select the edges. So beveling needs edges for selection. Edge, select all the edges I want to bevel, and do bevel edge. And this one, I'm going to set it to 0.2, 0.3, something like that, where it rounds it out a bit. And then I will need a way to put a center line in here. So to do that, you can use snapping again. So I can go to my marking menu, shift right click, go to insert edge loop, and you can add an edge loop, and then I can just move it. I can click on that and hit X, which is snapping. Oops, I got it in a weird mode. X and middle mouse. See how it's snapping? So I can snap, and you can see that it's going to be right in the center, like that. And then if you want it to be even more like even, but I would probably just match what you have, the flow of your geometry that you already have there. So I'll just go to insert edge loop, and one there, and one there. Oop. Actually, I would mirror it first. So I go up here, go to Object X, and this should, I go to World X. So if Object X doesn't work, try World X, and then I'm going to insert edge loop, and like that, and you should see it on the other side, so something like this. And then I'm going to put one that goes right through it. So now if we hit 3, it should look nice, and just seeing it without the geometry, it should look good. Okay, so the next part is the knob. I wanted to show you how to make the knob. So the first thing I do is create a cube for this. Polygon cube. And then I go to my orthographic side, go to it, like that, hit 4 to see through the object, or you can go up here. So those are the viewing methods. That there's a viewing methods video, so you can see all the options that are useful. But 4 and 5, those are the ones I usually go to most often. I'm just scaling this into position, and then I'm going to go to the front. I'm going to go over to this side and just position it. And then I will go to my perspective, hit F. Okay, so another useful perspective, or another useful viewing thing, is this isolate select. Also, I always turn off my mirroring when I'm not using it, and just go over here and go to isolate. And then I can select that back part, and I'm going to extrude so that and then I'm going to hit this cube so that I can get to the center. By default, unfortunately, that doesn't show up, so I'll do that again. So I'm going to isolate it so I can see the back easier. I'm going to select that face. I'm going to go to extrude face, and I want to get to the global scale. If I go like this, it will do that, which I don't want. But if once you touch that, this center one you're able to go to that center one. I'm just going to scale it from the center. And now I need to make sure this is accurate or close to what I have in the image. I'm just going to turn off isolate, select, and look at it, hit 4 so you can see through it. You can see that whatever we're working on is a bit orange. So something like that. And I'm going to move this up a bit so it matches better. And then I'm going to go to my perspective again, isolate it, select faces. I'm going to select that. And now I'm going to extrude it. Extrude face. Again, so that we get this little part here. And now I need to check that also. And what we can do to make sure it lines up perfectly is we can use snapping. So you see, it's kind of a trend here. Snapping is pretty awesome. So I'm gonna click that so I can see my wireframe of my object. And I click that arrow, so I only want to move in that direction. And then I'm gonna select a vertice of the plane that I want it to snap to. So right there, hit V, middle mouse, snap. Okay, so now that's good. Now we have our base model down, but we need it. If we hit 3, you'll see that it turns in a bit of a mush. So if we look at our reference, you can see here it's round, and then if you look at the side view, hit 4, you see that it's pretty much straight out, but when I hit 3, it kind of turns into this, it kind of is turning into mush too much. So what we can do is add edge loops, or we can even use beveling. So I'm going to do insert edge loop. I'm going to add an edge loop right here. Sorry, I'm having a hard time selecting it. Sorry, I think one of my keys was stuck. So go to your insert edge loop, and I'm going to make this a little sharper on this side, and I'm going to make this a lot sharper. So put 2 kind of close like that. Oop, so something like this, and then I want this to be sharp. Now if I hit 3, you'll see I pretty much have it done. I'm going to make this side a little sharper, so I'm going to extrude, and I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to inset it, extrude it, inset it in there. I'm going to delete this center face since I will never see it. Now if I hit 3, something like this, looks like that, and now I can just mirror it, and then I'm done with modeling this.